things kept growing. In 2020, the company reported $1.36 billion in revenue, up from $1.19 billion in 2019. That year, Vroom sold over 34,000 cars, and now it was time to go all in. In June 2020, Vroom performed an IPO, which spiked their value again to $2.48 billion. They also raised $467 million. By August, they had a market cap of over $8 billion. Impressive, but all of this is a bit strange because this whole time, Vroom had been losing money. Hundreds of millions, in fact. How are they getting so much in funding and growing so big, yet losing money the whole time? Not only that, customers would soon learn that Vroom wasn't so painless after all. Turns out, Vroom wasn't as painless as promised, and neither is the internet. That's why I use today's sponsor, Delete Me. Delete Me is a personal data removal service that automatically contacts data brokers, those sketchy companies that collect and sell your personal information, and ensures your data is wiped from their databases. I didn't care much about data brokers until someone used my credit card to run a bunch of Facebook ads. I went down a rabbit hole trying to clean things up. I stumbled upon dozens of shady people search websites listing my name, former addresses, and even old email accounts I'd forgotten. I looked into trying to remove it myself, but every site had a different opt-out form, and some wanted you to fax in proof of ID. It was ridiculous. That's why I personally use Delete Me to make the whole process easy. They handle everything from beginning to end. You can see on my Delete Me dashboard that they scanned 98 data brokers and 270 listings to keep my information private. And if you've got family, this matters even more, because a lot of these broker sites tie you to relatives, which is what makes the family plan so worth it. Get 20% off Delete Me consumer plans when you go to joindeleteme.com/logically and use promo code LOGICALLY at checkout. That's joindeleteme.com/logically, code LOGICALLY. Thank you to Delete Me for supporting our videos. First, we need to go back to 2020, because how Vroom grew so big so fast is a bit unusual. In 2020, Vroom sold 82% more cars, but still lost $202.8 million. What's even stranger is that figure is up from 2019, where they lost $143 million. So why did things explode in 2020? Well, around that time, the auto industry was going through a massive change.
People are believed to have been sickened by the new virus.
Tonight, U.S. airports on high alert, screening passengers for symptoms of a deadly new virus.
Very concerned. Now that you brought it to my attention, I'll stay away from most people wearing masks.
The pandemic impacted virtually every industry on Earth, yet its impact on the automotive industry was unexpected. With supply chains crippled, supply of cars decreased and sales fell by 22% from 2019. Supply was down, but people still needed cars, so prices went up. Dealerships and automakers noticed surging profits, fewer cars yet somehow more money. So companies changed their tactics. They prioritized high-priced vehicles, and with low supply, even higher profits. The average car price reached an all-time high of $47,000 in 2021. That's a $10,000 jump from 2019, or a 27% price jump in just 2 years. Car prices skyrocketed far, far above average earnings. Yet, second-hand cars saw an even bigger jump. The price changes jumped as high as 45%. If you wanted to save for a used car at the end of 2021, it would take 5 more weeks than if you did it the year prior. While some businesses were failing, car dealerships were making absurd profits, and the supply isn't the only reason. In 2020, the Federal Reserve dropped interest rates from 1.75% all the way to 0 to 0.25%. Prices were going up, but the cost of financing a car was going down. This explains how Vroom's valuation grew so massive in 2020 and 2021. Vroom saw the pandemic as go time to spend big on marketing and finance debt for more cars and acquisitions. But here's the catch. This whole time, since the very start, Vroom hadn't made any profit. In a 2020 financial statement, Vroom said, "We have had a history of losses and we may not achieve or maintain profitability in the future. We have not been profitable since our inception in 2012 and had an accumulated deficit of approximately $616.1 million as of March 31st, 2020. Even in the pandemic, with how lucrative